Overall, I would say that the atmosphere here was very energetic, very excited. It felt more like a rally than it would an election. It was very loud. It also seemed like that is what the volunteers and what the organizers were encouraging. They kind of wanted both sides to be riling up the other. Really quickly, I also want to mention that NBC is projecting Ted Cruz is the winner of the Kansas Republican caucus with 51% of the vote, and we'll have more on that later tonight. Speaking of, coming up tonight on KSN Local News at 10, we'll hear from caucus goers about their experiences today and what they thought. Reporting from Topeka for the Kansas Democratic Caucus, I'm Eric Crosswhite. Back to you.
Local news today.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday, June 8th. I'm Eric Crosswhite. The Jasper County Commission approves funding for 2 local projects. KSN's Coleman Bandy joins us live in the studio with more. And Coleman, this is quite a bit of money they're setting aside for these projects.
Yeah, Eric. The commission approved $7.5 million to renovate the car. The workers will start building it next year, in about a year from now.
And building from the ground up. Coleman Bandy reporting in our studio this morning. Coleman, thank you. In other news this morning, a shed behind the Franklin Technology Center in Joplin goes up in flames. Around 1 Tuesday afternoon, thick black smoke was hovering around Joplin High School near Grand Avenue and 21st Street. According to Joplin Fire Chief Jim Ferguson, a grounds crew member had just finished mowing and parked the piece of equipment in a small structure behind the FTC building. The mower caught fire and it quickly spread to the shed. Firefighters arrived on scene containing the fire before it spread to other buildings. No one was injured, but the shed is a complete loss. The bomb squad is called in after a grenade was found in a building near Baxter Springs. Officials say around 5 p.m. Monday, authorities were dispatched to the building on 19th Street that was being cleaned out for an auction. When sheriff's deputies arrived to the scene, they confirmed it was an explosive device and secured the area. A bomb squad with the Kansas Highway Patrol detonated the grenade at the Baxter Springs dump on West 12th Street. Bomb technicians couldn't determine if the explosive was live, but decided to detonate it for safety concerns. Along with the body, McDonald County deputies also found 2 people tied up at the home. Judging by tire tracks like the one seen here, it appears the vandals drove off of Waldo Hattler Memorial Drive and headed straight towards the green. This is the second time a natural disaster has destroyed the United Methodist Church, and they want people to know that no matter what your age, vandalizing history like this is not okay. Volunteers and aviation enthusiasts put it together, which was no easy task. Keeping the drones on public property or your own, no matter how high they're flying. What are some of the advantages of shooting a .22 compared to other guns? Recent rainfall causes an increase in grass allergies. KSN's Coleman Bandy joins us in the studio this morning. And Coleman, it really does seem like more people suffer from allergies this time of year.
Yeah, Eric, many people start to show symptoms.
It's going to be very few and far between.
Make sure you give yourself some breaks from that sun somewhere along
breaks
the way.
in the shade. Good idea.
All right, thank you, Jessica. It's time for our birthdays here on
See a doctor about more aggressive treatments.
I'm glad it's not just me suffering from allergies. Coleman Bandy reporting in our studio this morning. Coleman, thank you. And
in Carthage, let's get back to KSN.
All right, thank you, Hank. While you're out there, see if Kevin can find you a smaller life jacket. Coming up.
Now in high definition, local, part of your community. This is KSN Local News at 6.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jessica Shear.
And I'm Eric Crosswhite. 49 victims were gunned down in Orlando, Florida early Sunday morning by a man the FBI and President Obama today labeled a self-radicalized terrorist. Investigators say it began near the front door with a gunfight battle between suspect Omar Mateen and an off-duty Orlando police officer working security at the club. Additional officers entered while the suspect was shooting, forcing him to stop and retreat into the bathroom. This started a 3-hour standoff. When the suspect mentioned explosives, the SWAT team moved in using equipment to tear a hole in the wall of the club, and dozens of survivors rushed out. Teams are working to get a detailed analysis of the crime scene. So far, 48 of the 49 victims have been identified. More than 24 of the wounded are still in the hospital. At least 5 remain in grave condition. Federal agents say there are no known ties between Mateen and overseas terror organizations. They're looking into the possibility he scouted other potential targets before the attack.
The Kansas Department of Transportation is reminding drivers to follow all traffic regulations in work zones. That includes driving at a slower speed, even if obvious construction isn't taking place. KDOT warns that driving up to 20 miles over the speed limit could cost you more than $300 in fines and court fees. Last year in Kansas, 72% of all crashes involved driver-related circumstances, including following too closely, not paying attention, right-of-way violations, and improper lane change. Now here are some tips while driving in a work zone. Follow traffic control by paying attention to signs and changing lanes when directed to do so. Stay alert and calm. Your full attention should be on the road and the activity around you. Never multitask while driving, and watch for workers. If you know you will have to drive through a work zone, leave early or choose an alternate route. And finally, keep a safe distance between you and other cars, construction workers, and equipment to help avoid accidents. Rear-end collisions account for 30% of work zone accidents.
A bridge on the northern outskirts of Webb City will be closed for several days for repair work. A Missouri Department of Transportation crew will be working on the Center Creek Bridge north of Hawthorne Road starting Tuesday. While the bridge is structurally sound, construction will focus on repairing joints to create a smoother surface. The bridge closing will run during daytime hours from 8:30 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. Work will continue Monday through Thursday next week and is expected to wrap up by June 23rd.
The city of Carthage could be doing some big ticket construction in the coming fiscal year. City leaders are looking to spend more than $3 million on roads and city services. That's an increase of $1.2 million compared to the current budget. Capital spending in the 2017 budget could include a road expansion and new traffic signal at River and Fairview. City workers say the site not only sees a high traffic volume, but also sits near 4 Carthage school buildings: the high school, middle school, Fairview Elementary, and the Early Childhood Center.
I think the safety of crossing Fairview is the dangerous part that we worry about when we have a lot of buses go through there.
Another big ticket consideration is the construction of a South Fire Station. The Carthage Council will review the proposed budget at tonight's meeting. That starts at 7:30 at Carthage City Hall.
An area school district and health system are joining forces to benefit students. Freeman Health System is already partnering with the Neosho and Carl Junction school districts. Now Seneca schools will be added to the list. Officials with both groups gathered Monday morning at the Freeman Seneca Family Medicine Clinic to announce the agreement. Superintendent Dr. Jim Cummins says the arrangement will help cut down on time away from school for both students and school staff when illness arises.
Our nurses will be able to telecommunicate with Ms. Endicott here at the clinic and then make a decision whether the child needs to see a clinician or not. And if they do, they'll be given priority access.
Dr. Cummins says students and teachers will be seen right away when they get to the clinic a few blocks away from school. He says this will save parents the trouble of taking off work wherever they may be, which in turn will cut down on the amount of school time 6 students have to miss from class.